Good evening, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this Cabinet meeting. I'm Councillor Dale Broughton, Leader of the Council and Chairman of the Cabinet. To my left is Councillor Mike Gilbert, Deputy Leader of the Council and Vice Chairman of Cabinet. Before we start the meeting, I need to run through a few housekeeping details. Please be advised that this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube, recorded and will be transcribed for the official record. By remaining in the room, you consent to being included in the recording and transcript. When addressing this meeting, please ensure that you do so through the microphone system at all times. You do not need to move or adjust the microphones. Simply raise your hand as usual, wait to be called and then press the central button to activate your microphone before speaking. Speak clearly and directly so everyone in the room, remote participants and recordings can hear you. When finished, press the button again to turn it off. Mobile phones should be turned off or switched to the silent mode. Finally, please be advised that abuse or intimidation of any kind will not be tolerated. Any disturbance will result in the meeting being adjourned. Anyone who is deemed to breach these requirements will be warned and asked to refrain, and if the behaviour persists, they will be required to leave the meeting. Now we'll move to part one of the agenda, the preliminaries. Are there any apologies? Does any member wish to declare any interest in respect of any items on the agenda? Do I have permission to sign the minutes of the Cabinet meeting held on the 10th of December 2025? Agreed. Also, with your permission, do I have permission to sign the exempt minutes of the Cabinet meeting held on the same date, the 10th of December 2025? Agreed. Questions from members of the public. Are there any questions from members of the public received 2 clear working days prior to this meeting?
Thank you, Leader. No.
Thank you. Now we'll move to part 2, the agenda items. Recommendations for overview and scrutiny. Are there any recommendations for this meeting?
Thank you, Leader. There are none for this meeting.
Thank you. Are there any recommendations from BTAC?
There are none for this meeting.
Right, thank you. The third agenda item is the Partnership Social Media Policy, which starts on page 9 of the agenda pack. This is my report, so I will present and propose a recommendation. This new social media policy recognises the rapidly evolving social media landscape and the need for the South and East Lincolnshire Council's partnership to communicate effectively across multiple channels. The policy will sit under the current communication strategy for the partnership. This policy sets out our approach to communicating via social media. Our content will focus on audience insights, clear objectives, and creative content to maximise engagement. We will also leverage data insights to tell us what works and what doesn't. Recent Ofcom data highlights the dominance of Meta-owned platforms, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, with WhatsApp being the most used app in the UK. It also notes that 94% of UK adults use social media platforms. Along with a clear set of guidelines for each channel, this policy will see a set of published house rules for new and existing followers, setting expectations for respectful, relevant and safe engagement on all channels. This policy also recommends response protocols that emphasise prompt, calm and clear replies, moving sensitive conversations offline, and maintaining a consistent professional tone. The policy also sets out staff guidance where staff should not use work content on personal channels and that all significant updates should be shared first via corporate accounts, with staff encouraged to amplify these messages. The policy also sets out our security and housekeeping. This will involve regular changes to account passwords, and any unauthorised or inactive accounts will be closed to mitigate any reputational risk. This new policy approach marks a shift to more strategic, insight-driven content planning. Key objectives include publishing house rules, robust comment moderation, exploring analytics, AI tools, regular reporting and developing a distinct tone of voice. I therefore recommend that Cabinet approves the Partnership Social Media Policy at Appendix 1, and I'll look for a second. Councillor Baxter, thank you. Are there any questions on this report? Councillor Butler.
On page 26, where it says what we expect from followers, I think it says we will remove comments which we believe are abusive or saying bullying, harass or intimidate any individual organization or lawful libelous or defamatory, promote discrimination based on age, disability, gender, and marriage, religion, or spam, or deliberately deceptive or misleading. Is there anything that the council can do regarding accounts that we believe are fake? There seems to have been a bit of an increase, and when we're trying to promote the best, why should we be dealing with fake harassment profiles?
Totally agree, councillor, but still at that bottle on that, there is a lot of fake accounts going around. Several people seem to know who they are in their opinions, but obviously I have to pass over to Sean on that to see if there's anything we can actually do as a council.
Yeah, indeed, right. I mean, sometimes it'd be quite hard to find fake accounts and to cover fake accounts, but I think if you have the relevance, intelligence, and understand it, then by all means, should be able to do that. So I'm happy to see, be able to make sure that we that's in the household thinking.
Councillor Dodge.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I have some questions, several questions. If you see page 21, so we have 2,305 followers for the Borough Council and 24 for Boston. So, what's the percentage increase of followers per quarter? And what we normally do to increase the number of followers?
John.
I mean, as this policy sets out, council coach, I think the more engaging content we can post is in turn going to increase our follower counts. You know, we have a number of protocols where we obviously highlight social media usage on our channels, on external literature, on our website, etc. So, but I think it boils down to the characteristics of the council counts, making sure that we have good, engaging, relevant data content within our channels, and some of that moderation framework we talked about is going to also help people to want to share space to be able to express themselves and share people's views, and feel that that's a good place to be, then they will continue to follow us. So I think that's the only potentially work organically growing our follower base.
Just following on from that as well, Sean, thank you for that. I know we haven't got a date on this, but I know the Boston Market has their own Facebook page, which has grown exponentially over the last few months, and also helped attract new market traders to the store. That is a prime example of what using it positively does for not only residents and visitors coming to the town, but also businesses wanting to come and stand on the market, and hopefully Borough Council page will increase going forward. Yep.
So on the continuation of what you just said, if you see on page 23, obviously if we publish more, it will attract more subscribers. I understand that. So if you see post publish 17 on page 23 for Boston, for the 6 months data, so technically 3 posts per month. So I'll be planning to do, because personally I believe there are a lot of success stories around. We should share with the residents that I think it will motivate the team also. We need to find those success stories and post it, because probably I think we can increase number of posts from 17 to 40. A lot more in 6 months. And also on that, this is the September 24 to February 25. Do we have any reports for 25 March till December 26? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you've just around your first question. Yeah, I think again, I think the whole genesis of this policy, council, is to make sure that we are posting content that is data driven, that we understand that when we look at the analytics and we look at the impressions, that we're hitting the right note and people are finding that content engaging. I think some of the reviews that we've done previous as part of this sort of benchmarking survey we've done around social media posts, sort of clearly tells us that there is a certain percentage of social media posts that we've been publishing that's not getting traction at all. So I would just probably, politely argue that that's probably not the best use of anyone's time and necessarily put the council in the best of lives, really. So I think, given the breadth and the scope of the work that this council does as well as the partnership, you're absolutely right. It's loads of work that we do that should be championed and should be promoted. But we have a various number of different channels to be able to do that, not just social media. So I think, again, getting back to the sort of basics of this policy, really, it's making sure we work with different teams and departments, but also share those insights and data from our point of view. And if something isn't quite working, then we change that approach and that focus, and being a lot more dedicated around the content that we actually follow, making sure that it hits the mark. And I do apologise, I probably witched on the second question.
No, I understand that. That's fine. Okay. No, it's okay. That's fine. Thank you.
Just to add on from that as well, thank you, Sean, for that comprehensive answer. I obviously meet with Sean on a fortnightly basis, and we have discussed at length going forward different ways of presenting our social media posts, whether it just be written, short videos, going more up into the modern world. And Christmas has been a prime example. We've used different ways of doing that, and the figures are really increasing in numbers as well. So we are looking at new ways of doing things, more modern ways, and we will continue to do that. Councillor Gilbert.
Yeah, just a quick sort of observation, really. I mean, given the numbers that we've got in front of us, would you suggest that we have a rather more actively engaged social media profile from our communities than some other areas? Or is it roughly on par with what you'd expect from other parts of the country?
Thank you for the question, Councillor. We haven't really benchmarked against any other council, really, so it's very hard for me to be able to answer that question. I think we certainly can do. But again, I think we do have some really good engagement rates.
Yeah.
If we benchmark that against partnership councils, I think we do. And I think, when we look at some of the comments and interactions we get on our social, particularly from the Boston area, they are quite service specific as well. So I think having that relationship with PSPS to be able to answer some of those comments or queries or questions promptly, is only good, really, from the point of view of that transparency and that leadership.
Councillor Baxter.
Thank you, Leader. As you probably all know, as local ward members, we have our own sites and Facebook. I think this is really good at resident side. It has probably more than local flavour about what's going on. So what I was going to mention, presumably this new policy, this one that we're looking at, the recommendation, will have cover our individual Facebook sites in our wards.
Thank you, Councillor Baxter. No, this is just specifically just for our quality things.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Mountain.
Thank you. Just going through the policy, I want to say whoever's wrote it, it's in very nice, clean, plain language. I like bullet points. I love the idea of house rules as well. The fact that we're going to put it on the website. You're not deep diving into any policy, trying to get to the ground of the books, values, and find out actually what are, why is my post being removed? Actually, if you go to those quite short documents, with bullet points, it's the point.
Yeah, totally agree, Councillor Mountain. It highlights what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done, what rules need to be followed. So I totally agree with that. Any other questions? Right, now move to the vote. So all those in favour? Jared, thank you. Right, the fourth agenda item is the Trees and Hedgerow Strategy Action Plan, which starts on page 39 of the agenda pack. Councillor Ryland, would you like to present the report and propose a recommendation?
Thank you, Leader. Trees and hedgerows play a central role in our strategic response to the challenge of biodiversity loss and climate change. The Partnership adopted the Tree and Hedgerow Strategy in 2022. The action plan for Cabinet tonight is the delivery mechanism and list various work areas and projects that will ensure trees and hedgerows throughout the region are managed, protected and enhanced for the benefit of all. There are 19 actions with a plan spread across the core strategic themes. Protect, plant and participate with short, medium and long-term delivery objectives. This recognises the complexities around delivery and seeks to balance quick wins with strategic legacy building actions. Tree planting is a go-to, high-profile activity to address climate change. It's critical to observe the right tree, right place principle. Existing trees and hedgerows must also be managed and maintained to ensure their contribution to environmental and carbon benefits is sustained. The plan has evolved through extensive consultation with outside bodies, potential funders as well as internal departments, and needs to dovetail with the emerging local nature recovery strategy for Lincolnshire, shortly to be released for public consultation, due to be published in late 2026. The plan does not commit the council to any additional expenditure. It does, however, seek to influence, direct and prioritise our approach to managing trees and hedgerows, shaping the deployment of internal resources, as well as placing us on the front foot when bidding for external funds. We will, of course, involve members and external stakeholders as the plan is implemented, and will collaborate with officers across the partnership who are vital to delivering this plan. This strategy action plan is key to reaching our net zero ambitions, as well as supporting nature recovery, community participation, and the health and social well-being of our residents. Overview and Scrutiny Committee were consulted in December and gave the action plan their full support without amendment. The recommendation before members is that the Cabinet adopts the Tree and Hedgerow Action Plan. Do I have a seconder?
Thank you, Councillor White. Councillor Mountain, are there any questions on this report? Councillor Butler?
Again, just to say that I'm pleased to see this come forward. I'm also very pleased to see that we're not just going to start planting trees willy-nilly across the whole and see the right tree in the right location. Obviously, historically, this was England, we didn't have trees, so making sure that we don't change what we are actually supposed to be vitally important.
Any other questions? Councillor Gilbert?
Yeah, just a comment really. Yeah, I think it's a really good report, very positive report. I think it encourages the idea of bringing volunteers in to assist with the management of trees and hedgerows, which I think is really important. And it also hints that we can establish some better working relationships or arrangements with LCC, who of course maintain the verges and the corridors into Boston, many of which have trees and hedgerows on them.
Councillor Mountain?
Thank you, Leader. Again, I'll confirm what my colleagues have said. It's a very positive report. I just wanted to sort of interject my feelings around the right tree at the right place. Obviously, we do have some localised flooding that we have around Boston, and trees are very, very important to the flood plains that we have. Ultimately, it helps with the soil protection, it helps maintain the area, and it actually helps prevent flooding. So, actually welcome.
Thank you, Councillor Mountain. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Right, we'll now move to the vote then. So all those in favour? Thank you. The fifth agenda item is the South and East Lincolnshire Council Partnership Safeguarding Policy, which starts on page 67 of the agenda pack. Councillor Staples, would you like to present the report and propose recommendations? Thank you.
Here we go. I'm pleased to introduce the South and East Lincolnshire Council Partnership Safeguarding Policy for your consideration this evening. Under the Children's Act 1989 and the Care Act 2014, all local authorities are legally required to have safeguarding procedures in place. This policy puts forward clear and consistent guidance to all officers and councils across the South and East Lincolnshire Council's partnership area, and how to deal with concerns they may have in respect of safeguarding vulnerable adults and children. This includes where to seek advice and how to submit a case for further action. The policy will be reviewed annually for minor changes such as practices, updates, and case reviews, which will be overseen by myself as portfolio holder. A full review will also take place every 4 years, with any proposed revisions presented to Cabinet for approval to maintain strategic oversight and governance. Supporting the strategy, development and its subsequent actions, the shared safeguarding officer will play a key role in the administration of our safeguarding responsibilities. This includes ensuring appropriate training is in place and being undertaken for all officers and councillors each year. The recommendation for this report is therefore that Cabinet adopt the joint South and East Lincolnshire Council's Partnership Safeguarding Policy. Thank you. Cabinet delegates authority to the Assistant Director in consultation with myself as portfolio holder to make minor amendments to the policy, ensuring it remains up to date with legislative changes and operational requirements. Assistant Director undertakes a full review of the policy every 4 years, with any proposed revisions presented to Cabinet for approval to maintain strategic oversight and governance. I'm happy to take any questions that may form part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Staples. Is there a seconder? Councillor Rose, thank you. I'd just like to point out, obviously, I know you've worked really hard on this, Helen, along with all the Emily and all the team. I'd just like to point out just a couple of points. Page 10, I think this is such a really good phrase. If you have concerns, share them. That's something that we've got to get out there, that if anybody has even the slightest concern, share them. Don't keep everything into yourself. Following on from that, from page 11, the reporting concerns and record keeping. I'm really pleased to see in this, do use your professional courtesy, but also when making records, what not to do as well. So I think that's really important, that's in there, so I'm really pleased to see that. So, Councillor Ghost.
Just a comment, actually, as we are moving forward more and more towards a partnership. So these kind of standardized approach is always better, for civil strategic policy, better workforce utilization. So I absolutely know.
Yeah, totally agree, Councillor. Councillor Baxter.
Thank you, Leader. And just a comment, more of the use of hearing some stories where people who have made vulnerable children and terrible neglect, etc. So it's my welcome this report. It's good to know as well. When you think about our officers, the amount of people we come into contact with, and also councillors, say this, this is a policy that brings that together. I've been counting and monitored. I've already seen some of the training, which is very comprehensive, and it's going to be pass around to councillors. So I welcome these recommendations and the people who come up with response. Thank you.
Yeah, totally agree with you, Councillor Baxter. We've got excellent portfolio, all who've worked really hard on this, and Emily Spicer and her team. We've definitely got the right team involved to do all this across the partnership, so I'm really pleased with this, and it's something that's really, really important going forward. Any other questions? Well, we'll move to the vote then. So all those in favour? Thank you. The sixth agenda item is the revised housing allocations policy, Borough Council and East Lindsey District Council, which starts on page 99 of the agenda pack. Councillor Baxter, would you like to present the report and propose the recommendations? Thank you.
Thank you, Leader, and good evening. So I'd like to bring forward the revised housing allocations policy and pay my extreme thanks to James and Oxley, who's here with us this evening, and Alice, my solicitor and director, and all the team there work on it. 80 pages. So I'll please present then the revised housing allocation policy for Borough Council and East Lindsey District Council. This review then follows recent changes in national guidance and legislation, which we must incorporate to remain compliant and deliver fair transparent housing services. Why is the review needed then? So we decided that the national changes enable current and former members of HM forces, domestic abuse victims and care leavers up to the age of 25 to be exempt from the local connection criteria. Essentials, these vulnerable groups are not disadvantaged when seeking social housing. The key changes that are mentioned in the 80-page report, it meets modern legal requirements, it improves clarity and fairness. The key updates then include a financial resource of £60,000 and fairer treatment of housing-related debt. Strong equality commitments including the Armed Forces Covenant, streamlined processes that applicants and staff reducing waiting times and improving transparency. It contains many benefits, and these changes will make the policy legally robust, fairer, and easier to understand. They support our corporate priorities, building safer, stronger communities, and delivering services effectively and efficiently. This policy, I'm pleased to say, has been robustly reviewed and supported by scrutiny in December. So the recommendations are contained in the report then, and I caveat to approve them is that the revised housing allocation policy 2025 be approved, and to delegate authority to the Assistant Director Communities and Housing Services in consultation with the relevant portfolio holder to make minor changes to the policy that would not require a consultation exercise as per the legislation. So this is quite a technical paper. I'm pleased that Emily Spicer and Jason Oxley are here who can probably give me support and help with any technical details. And we're happy to take any questions before you vote on the recommendations I mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baxter. Is there a seconder? Councillor Ross. Again, I just want to say, obviously, an 80-page report, there's a lot of reading in there, Councillor Baxter. I know you go for every single word and every single page, and also the hard work of Jason, Emily, and again, all the team. So, well done on all that. So, are there any questions on this report? Councillor Mountain.
Thank you, Leader. It's not really a question, but it's a comment on it. Thank you very much for bringing into the Armed Forces Government and aligning it. Just for a bit of clarification, I am ex-forces, and while I still do have family in the local area, I know sometimes from an armed forces point of view, you can go away for 23 years, times change, families move on, pass away. Actually, by the time they want to leave the military, they want to settle in what they remember their childhood being, which might be hostile for us. It's really nice to see that that's in there, and if they do want to return back to their hometown, they can do.
Yeah, totally agree with that, Councillor Mountain. Any other questions? Councillor Butler.
Just I think it's absolutely right that we look at local people first and the local connections. However, fully support the fact that if it is a domestic abuse or care leavers, they should be eligible to be placed in this area.
Thank you for that, councillor Butler. Any other questions? No, right, we'll move to the vote then. All those in favour? Thank you. Right, we'll now move to the final agenda item of this evening. It's the housing standards policies, which start on page 179 of the agenda pack. Again, councillor Baxter, would you like to present the report and propose the recommendation?
Thank you, Leader, and thank you again to these files for the assistant director who's been involved, and the team this time, John Shannon, the group manager of the Safer Community, the new setting the housing standards team leader. I got to mention this is a partnership thing. I can't thank Councillor Gray at East Lindsay and Councillor Carter at South Holland. We've looked through the 350 pages. So you do swap around a little paragraphs and stuff, but I'm pleased to say we've come up with this policy. So this brings forward then 3 comprehensive housing standards policies for our consideration and adoption this evening. The 3 policies then are quite topical really: empty home, housing in multiple occupation, HMO licensing, and then enforcement. These policies then enable and ensure our housing standards officers to apply their work confidently and robustly across the 3 councils of the partnership, and ensure we are ready for any changes that need to be applied as part of the Benefits Rights Act, which comes into force this year. If I may just point out now then the key salient points for the 3 policies, those 350 pages. You can get in contact with any queries that come up later, or say as we implement the policy. So, as regards to MTA, the main focus then is in introducing the scoring matrix that prioritise property the greatest concern. With each council of the partnership and leaving their tools available to them without committing to specific resources. This links in closely with the council tax section who monitor properties that are empty. With the HMO licensing then, this policy introduces a new fee structure that is consistent across the partnership. As regards enforcement then, the enforcement policy includes the revision of fixed penalty notice amounts reflected in the Renters' Rights Act, and these are robustly reviewed and supported by scrutiny in December, I'm pleased to say. Once again then, due to the technical details, we might have to lean on John, our group manager, who could probably help and support us with any questions. So the recommendations put forward in the report is then that the Cabinet this evening approves the draft empty homes policy at Appendix 1, the draft HMO policy at Appendix 2, and the draft housing standard enforcement policy at Appendix 3. So we're happy to take any questions and fire away.
Thank you, councillor Baxter. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Sharp. Again, councillor Baxter, this report, the length of it and also the time taken, I know you meet up with councillor Gray and Carter quite regularly. It shows what a great partnership that we are working together, obviously on such an important document. And it also shows the hard work that not only councillor Gray and Carter put in, but also all the hard effort and long hours of reading that you have to put up with councillor Baxter to go through all these reports word for word. It's a side that a lot of people don't see, the work that involves being a councillor. 350-page reports, and quite a lot of it is quite technical, so well done on that, councillor Baxter. Right. Any questions? Councillor Butler.
Thank you. We support these policies, especially the empty homes policy. However, I do feel that government needs to up their game about that. We've got nearly 1 million empty homes in this country. No one's building 1 million homes. We've got 1 million sat there doing nothing. Do something about it.
Yeah, totally agree, councillor Butler. It's numbers don't add up to what we actually need. So it seems that we've got all these empty houses and people are desperate to get into homes. So, councillor Gosh.
Again, it's more or less it's a mandatory policy, I think, for the Renters Act. It's pretty straightforward for me, and as we are moving forward towards partnership more and more, then everything should be streamlined across the partnerships. I seem to be way.
Councillor,
Yeah, just to mention, I think it's very important that we concentrate on the renters' rights. Also, I'd like to say a massive thank you. I know you mentioned the independent councillors, the team of the people who with this. With the Renters' Rights Act, we had a seminar at Austin United. It's quite obvious that lots of landlords were interested, still a lot of work to do. As Councillor Gage mentions, that links in closely with these new policies. It's something that the team will be working on, and obviously we'll be concentrating on communications with tenants and landlords. A very successful event, the networking, but also promoting that some landlords are prepared to take on homeless people and support them. So thank you for your comments, everyone.
yeah, totally agree, Councillor Baxter. The officers work really hard and obviously keep getting nominated for different awards in your area as well, which is not only good for to show the hard work that the officers are doing and obviously themselves, but obviously they're getting recognised for what they are doing, which is really good going forward. So well done, everybody. Any other questions, Councillor Butler?
Yeah, just like what I said previously, this time regarding the HMOs, I think the full feels to see that there's regulation and legislation in place at this item in regards to HMOs. The issue with the registry and all that, whether it's not actually correct, but they'll be pleased to see that more is being done to tackle and regulate these properties.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Any other questions? Right, we'll move to the vote then. So all those in favour? Agreed, thank you. All right, thank you everybody. That concludes this evening's business. So we'll now close the meeting and thank you all for your attendance.